Hello everybody. In this video, I would like to talk about probably the most famous cool feature of Spider project, namely automatic resource leveling. Before we talk about automatic resource leveling in Spider, let's briefly talk about resource leveling on itself. If you look at the Wikipedia, it refers for a definition to PMBOK guide, and it defines resource leveling as a technique in which start and finish dates are adjusted based on resource limitation with the goal of balancing demand for resources with the available supply. In other words, what it says that if you have a schedule which has been scheduled in accordance to standard critical path management technique, then you will have to delay certain activities to make sure that you resolve resource over allocation if it is present. Let's see how it looks in practice. In practice, let's look at this very simple project schedule, which I have put in Microsoft Project. It has two activities and one resource. You can see that without resource leveling, Microsoft Project scheduled all activities to go in parallel, and total project duration is 5 days. However, we can also see that Microsoft Project tells us that a resource A is over allocated because we have only one of it, and we expect it to work on two activities in parallel. You can also see that it is quite easy to resolve overallocation by delaying one of the activity against the other. And Microsoft Project can perfectly do this for us. If we go to resources and level all, we can see that resource over allocation is resolved by delaying activity 2 against activity 1. Another question is, okay, what is so cool about Spider if even Microsoft Project can do it? Or if Microsoft Project can also do it? The complexity comes when schedule becomes a little bit more advanced. The situation here is that unlike critical path management, a resource leveling algorithm is not well defined, or at least it is not defined on for complex and big schedules. If you look at such a simple project schedule, it only consists of 4 activities and 2 resources. You can see that activity A is assigned to, resource A is assigned to activity 1 and 3, and resource B is assigned to activity 2 and 4. And you can also see that there are some resource over allocations here. For instance, in this day, resource A is over allocated, and in this day, resource B is over allocated. You can also see that it's quite easy to find optimal solution for resolving resource over allocation by delaying activity 1 by 1 day. So then our schedule becomes 11 days instead of 10 days, but we produce optimal schedule. There is no way to make it shorter. Now, let's remove automatic manual resource leveling, which I have done, and let's ask Microsoft Project to find solution. So for it, we go once again, level O. And what do we see? Microsoft Project came with a solution which is 15 days instead of 11 days. So for whatever reason, Microsoft Project decided to delay activity 3 instead of delaying activity 1, and now the schedule is 15 days. So you can see that on such a simple schedule, Microsoft Project cannot produce optimal result. Now let's look at another project management tool, even more famous, Primavera P6. I have exactly the same schedule loaded here, and without a resource leveling, it also takes 10 days. Now, if I ask P6 to do resource leveling, you can see that it produces a result identical to Microsoft project, which is 15 days. So on this simple schedule where even child can find optimal solution, both Microsoft project and P6 failed to produce optimal result. Now, I want to have some philosophical discussion here. We live in the 21st century. Computers have reached such a level of development that some people are seriously asking questions about danger of uncontrolled development of artificial intelligence. Nowadays, any of us can download and install on his PC free chess engine, which will show better result than most of the human grandmasters. We also live in the world where millions of projects get implemented every year. Most of these projects must be dealing with limited resources in some form. And yet, two most professionally used project scheduling programs, Microsoft Project and Primavera, fail to solve a simplest resource-constrained scheduling problem which any child can solve. There must be something wrong here, which I don't understand. So if you do understand it, please put your comments below the video. Now, let's go and see how Spider looks here. Let's look at Spider now. If we load in Spider the same 4 activities, 2 resources schedule, then without resource leveling, it quite expectedly produces the same 10 days result. If we use a resource leveling, however, you can see that it produced human-like result, which is 10 days instead of 15 days in Primavera and Microsoft project. So you can see that on such a simple project schedule, it is possible to see the differences between resource leveling algorithms of different tools, and Spider here comes the best. Now, a lot of people will ask, okay, it's fine that you showed that on this specific schedule, Spider produced the best result. But what about real projects? Because we are project managers, we are interested in a real projects. The answer here is that it's quite difficult to find a project schedule which is suitable for a resource leveling or for automatic resource leveling. And even if I would have found such schedule, people would always be able to say that I especially found one which is crafted for Spider to produce best result. So what is the solution for our problem if we still want to objectively compare different project management tools for resource leveling? The solution is called Project Scheduling Problem Library. It is published by Technical University of Munich by Professor Rainer Kolisch. And its purpose is exactly what we are looking for. It's a set of benchmark instances for evaluation of resource leveling algorithms. If you go to download section of a library, you can see that it has several sets of problems. For instance, one J120 series of problems consists of problems with 120 activities in each. J30 series of problems consists of problems with 30 activities in each, etc., etc. At certain moment in time, members of planningplanet.com, a world-leading project scheduling community, have done comparison of 3 project management tools: Microsoft Project, Spider Project, and Primavera. They have been compared on a selected limited subset of these problems. Problems both with 30, 60, 90, and 120 activities were included in the test. Spider project produced best results on every single of these problems, meaning that Spider project produced a shortest resource level schedule on every single of these problems. And now I'm going to demonstrate you how it was done on one of these selected problems. Now, let's look at the problem J3013 underscore 8. It's a problem from J30 series, uh, hence it has 30 activities plus start and finish milestone, the 32 activities in total. It also has some resources, namely it has four resources. One resource, we have 15 of them, or 1500%. Resource 2, we have 14 of them. Resource 3, we have 16 of them. And resource 4, we have 16 of them as well. Now, if we look at the project schedule, we can see that all of these activities, they are linked in a certain way, quite a complex way, and they have resources assigned to them in certain way as well. How it's all been done, we don't really care too much because it's important that we test all of our project scheduling tools on the same benchmark uh, schedule. So now, without resource leveling, the schedule has 48 days duration. Let's do resource leveling here. We go resources, level on all, and we have 136 days schedule. Whether it is good or bad, we will see once we compare it with other tools. Let's now look at Primavera. It is the same schedule with the same amount of activities, the same resources, and the same availability of resources. Without resource leveling, it produces the same 48 days schedule. Now, if you do resource leveling, you'll see that now it produced 124 days. And just to remind, Microsoft Project produced 136 days schedule. And now we look at Spider. Without a resource leveling, we will see it's exactly the same schedule, also 48 days duration, also has four resources assigned to activities in the same way. It is the same schedule, I just used a comparison, the conversion to make sure that I can display it in or load it in different project scheduling tools. Now, if I do resource leveling in Spider, it produces 114 days. Okay, let us put it all into comparison table. We have MS Project, Primavera, and Spider Project. Without leveling, resource tools produce expectedly the same duration, 48 days. And with leveling, Spider Project produces the best result, and then MS Project gives 19% increase over best result, which is Spider Project, and Primavera gives you almost 9% increase. So for this specific schedule, Spider comes the best, Primavera is second, MS Project is third. As I said before, on every single problems tested so far, Spider always produces best result. So this is what I wanted to tell you about automatic resource leveling feature of Spider. As far as I know, this is the best tool on the market at the moment, which does automatic resource leveling. And if you are seriously thinking about doing automatic resource leveling in your schedule, you need to consider Spider. I hope you found this video useful. Thank you for watching.